Bryson DeChambeau has finally addressed the swirling speculation about his future amid growing rumors that he could be preparing to step away from LIV Golf. Over the past few weeks, reports suggested that the former US Open champion and his team were exploring alternative opportunities, possibly even considering a reduced competitive schedule focused mainly on the four major championships while dedicating more time to content creation, particularly on YouTube. However, DeChambeau's latest remarks paint a more complex picture. Rather than confirming any imminent departure, he indicated that he is still committed to making LIV Golf work and remains actively engaged in discussions about his future with the league. According to DeChambeau, the idea that LIV Golf is merely a novelty or a gimmick is far from accurate. He emphasized that the players involved are deeply invested in building a competitive and sustainable product. While acknowledging that negotiations about his contract are ongoing, he made it clear that he has not abandoned hope of reaching a resolution that keeps him within the league. At this stage, DeChambeau views his role as larger than just personal success. He sees himself as part of a core group responsible for ensuring the long-term viability of LIV Golf. Having committed significant time and effort to the project, he feels a sense of duty to help guide it forward, at least through the current phase of its evolution. His focus, he says, is on contributing to the league's growth and helping it reach its full potential. One of the most notable aspects of his statement was the emphasis on mentorship and responsibility toward younger players. DeChambeau specifically mentioned rising talents such as Caleb Surratt, Josel Ballester, and David Puig. He framed his continued involvement in LIV Golf as partly driven by a desire to support these newer entrants, who are still finding their footing in professional golf. In contrast, established stars like Jon Rahm, Phil Mickelson, and Dustin Johnson, along with DeChambeau himself, have already secured their positions in the sport. For them, the challenge is no longer survival but stewardship. DeChambeau suggested that it is now their collective responsibility to create opportunities and stability for the next generation of players who have placed their trust in the league. This perspective reflects a broader narrative that LIV Golf has tried to promote since its inception, that it is not just an alternative tour, but a platform designed to reshape professional golf by blending innovation with competition. Despite persistent criticism, particularly from traditionalists who argue that the format lacks the depth and history of established tours, supporters within the league continue to push back against that perception. DeChambeau has been one of LIV Golf's most vocal advocates. Much like Mickelson, he has consistently defended the league in public, using both interviews and his significant online presence to promote its vision. His influence extends beyond the golf course, as his YouTube channel and social media reach allow him to connect with a younger, digitally engaged audience. This dual role as both athlete and content creator has made him a key figure in LIV Golf's efforts to broaden its appeal. His loyalty to the league is also evident in his past actions. When tensions between LIV Golf and the PGA Tour escalated, DeChambeau was among the players who took legal action against the PGA Tour, alleging unfair treatment. That move underscored his willingness to stand by LIV Golf even during its most turbulent moments. Given this history, his recent reaffirmation of commitment might not come as a complete surprise. Still, it contrasts sharply with a series of events that have fueled speculation about his dissatisfaction. One of the key incidents occurred during the 2026 season, following his disappointing performance at the Masters. After an early exit from Augusta, DeChambeau traveled to Mexico City for a LIV Golf event held at Club de Golf Chapultepec. The transition from the pristine conditions of Augusta National to a course he perceived as subpar appeared to frustrate him. During the tournament, DeChambeau openly showed irritation with the course conditions, particularly the rough and the greens. His struggles culminated in a withdrawal from the event, officially attributed to injury. However, the visible frustration he displayed during play led many observers to question whether there were deeper issues at play. This episode added fuel to ongoing rumors that DeChambeau might be reconsidering his long-term future with LIV Golf. Reports emerged suggesting that his team had been actively seeking potential investors or sponsors, possibly in preparation for a move away from the league. The timing of these reports, coinciding with his trip to Augusta, only intensified speculation. Taken together, these developments created a narrative that seemed to contradict his public statements of loyalty. On one hand, DeChambeau speaks about responsibility, commitment, and belief in LIV Golf's mission. On the other hand, his actions, visible frustration, withdrawal from events, and alleged behind-the-scenes planning, suggest a level of dissatisfaction. This apparent contradiction highlights the complexity of his situation. Professional athletes often have to balance multiple priorities: competitive performance, financial considerations, personal brand development, and long-term career planning. For someone like DeChambeau, who operates at the intersection of sport and media, these factors are even more pronounced. It is also important to consider the broader context surrounding LIV Golf. The league has faced significant challenges since its launch, including criticism from fans, resistance from established tours, and uncertainty related to its financial backing. While it has succeeded in attracting high-profile players and generating attention, questions remain about its sustainability and long-term impact on the sport. Within this environment, it is not unusual for players to explore their options. Even those who are publicly supportive of the league may privately evaluate alternative paths, whether that means returning to traditional tours, focusing on major championships, or expanding into other ventures. For DeChambeau, the mention of potentially prioritizing the four majors is particularly noteworthy. These tournaments, the Masters, the US Open, the Open Championship, and the PGA Championship, remain the most-aired events in golf, offering both historical significance and global visibility. A schedule centered around these events, combined with content creation, could represent a strategic shift that aligns with his evolving career goals. At the same time, his emphasis on helping LIV Golf succeed suggests that he is not ready to make a clean break. Instead, he appears to be navigating a middle ground, keeping his options open while continuing to fulfill his current commitments. Looking ahead, the key question is whether DeChambeau's words and actions will eventually align. Will he remain a central figure in LIV Golf's future, helping to guide its development and mentor its players? Or will the pressures and uncertainties surrounding the league push him toward a different path? For now, his stance can be described as cautiously committed. He acknowledges the challenges but remains invested in finding solutions. He expresses loyalty but does not dismiss the possibility of change. This nuanced position reflects both the opportunities and the uncertainties that define this of his career. As the situation continues to evolve, DeChambeau's decisions will likely have significant implications, not only for his own but also for LIV Golf as a whole. As one of the league's most recognizable and influential figures, his presence carries weight. Whether he ultimately stays or leaves, the impact will be felt across the broader landscape of professional golf. In the meantime, fans and analysts alike will be watching closely, looking for signs that might indicate his next move. For now, all that is certain is that the story is far from over, and that Bryson DeChambeau remains at the center of one of the sport's most compelling narratives.